At 2:17 a.m. on March 14, 1943, radio technician 3rd Class Thaddeus Blackwood pressed his ear against the modified headphones in the communications room of USS Caldwell, listening to electromagnetic frequencies that officially did not exist. The North Atlantic storm hammered ice against the bulkheads. Through the porthole, 51 merchant ships of Convoy SC-122 cut dark silhouettes against rolling waves, their running lights extinguished, carrying 7,200 troops and critical medical supplies toward Britain through waters where 23 convoys had vanished in 4 months. The modified radio array before him crackled with unauthorized electromagnetic sweeps. Vertical antenna wires hung at impossible angles, connected through improvised vacuum tube circuits to frequency analyzers that violated every Navy regulation. Red lighting cast shadows across dials and meters, jury-rigged from salvaged components. The equipment hummed with dangerous electricity, drawing power through bypass circuits that could electrocute him if moisture reached the wrong connections. Then the signal came. His upside-down wire configuration suddenly received inverted polarization transmission. Brief German coordination signal cutting through static. Rudel 6, position northwest, Angriff in 4 Stunden. Pack 6, position northwest, attack in 4 hours. The standard horizontal antenna array remained silent, detecting nothing, blind to electromagnetic inversions created by North Atlantic swells, tilting submarine antennas beyond conventional reception parameters. Thad's hands trembled as he fine-tuned the frequency. The same electromagnetic inversion pattern from his father's final transmission 16 months ago. Chief Petty Officer Magnus Blackwood's last words, cut short mid-sentence aboard USS Reuben James as Klaus Richter's torpedo found its mark. 89 crew lost, coordinates never received, intelligence never reported. Preventable death covered up by Navy brass unwilling to admit their electromagnetic detection doctrine was fundamentally flawed. The convoy approached Devil's Triangle, where German wolfpacks had perfected coordinated surface attacks during electromagnetic interference. Standard Allied procedure demanded reactive defense. Wait for confirmed torpedo contact, protect merchant ships through overlapping escort patterns, accept casualties as an inevitable cost of war. But Thad knew something the Admiralty refused to acknowledge. Their horizontal antenna arrays missed 40% of submarine coordination signals, polarized vertically by ocean conditions. His equipment was built from Magnus Blackwood's unfinished electromagnetic research. Polarization theory dismissed by Navy engineers as impractical field modification beyond regulation scope. Wave inversion mathematics calculated in lighthouse keeping quarters off the Maine coast, where Magnus had spent decades studying radio propagation through harsh coastal weather. Knowledge inherited by a son determined to prove his father died for theories that could save lives. Communications Officer Lieutenant Commander Ezra Fletcher had banned all unauthorized modifications. Called Thad's obsession dangerous necromancy with ghost theories, Fletcher knew electromagnetic detection limitations firsthand, had trained under Magnus Blackwood, been present during U.S. Reuben James' final transmission, heard coordinates cut short, carried classified after-action reports proving electromagnetic equipment failure caused preventable loss. Chose career advancement over revealing detection flaws that killed 89 sailors. Where are you listening to this story from tonight? Drop your country in the comments. We're building a global community of people who believe forgotten heroes matter. Intelligence briefings confirmed Klaus Richter's Wolfpack tracking convoy SC-122, same U-boat ace responsible for USS Reuben James massacre, U-507 commander with 34 merchant ships destroyed, including the first American warship sunk in World War II. Richter considered the Blackwood family as personal conquest. Father killed through electromagnetic detection failure, son sailing into an identical tactical situation with the same flawed equipment. The weight of 89 dead pressing against every wire Thad had modified. Every frequency he monitored, every unauthorized improvement that could result in court-martial for equipment sabotage. But regulations meant nothing when you understood that standard doctrine would fail again. That more crews would die because institutional pride mattered more than electromagnetic truth. His modified array potentially decoding Magnus's final coordinates. Lost intelligence embedded in static that no standard receiver could process. Personal vendetta disguised as technical innovation. The opportunity to hunt his father's killer using electromagnetic theories the Navy had dismissed as fantasy. In the next 6 hours, Thaddeus Blackwood's electromagnetic necromancy would intercept 9 U-boat coordination signals, decode his dead father's final intelligence, and transform Devil's Triangle from graveyard into hunting ground. This is how grief becomes innovation, how buried secrets surface through radio static, and why thinking backwards about electromagnetic death was the only way forward. Magnus Blackwood had understood electromagnetic behavior in ways that Navy textbooks never acknowledged. Growing up in a lighthouse keeping family off Pemaquid Point, Maine, where radio signals bent through coastal weather patterns that challenged conventional theory. His father operated fog signal equipment during storms that twisted electromagnetic waves into impossible configuration. Magnus learned early that ocean conditions created propagation anomalies invisible to laboratory testing. October 31st, 1941. USS Reuben James escorting convoy HX-146 through North Atlantic waters. Magnus served as electromagnetic specialist, monitoring German submarine communications through modified direction-finding equipment he had installed without authorization. Standard Navy horizontal antenna array supplemented by vertical configuration designed to capture signal inversions created by heavy seas. 2:37 a.m. Magnus detected faint German coordination transmissions indicating Wolfpack formation ahead of the convoy. Brief signals polarized vertically by submarine antenna tilting, invisible to standard equipment. He began transmitting coordinate intelligence to escort commanders. Contact bearing 270, range 12 miles, multiple submarines coordinating attack positions. Then, Klaus Richter's torpedo struck amidships. Magnus's transmission cut short. Final coordinates never received by convoy command. USS Reuben James breaking apart in 4 minutes. 89 crew, including Magnus Blackwood, lost in frigid water. First American warship destroyed in World War II. Preventable tragedy attributed to superior German stealth technology rather than electromagnetic detection failure. Thad inherited his father's research notes 3 months later, polarization theory calculations, wave inversion mathematics, antenna configuration diagrams sketched on lighthouse maintenance logs, technical drawings showing how ocean swells create submarine antenna tilting that generates vertical signal polarization missed by horizontal receivers, detection range improvements possible through dual polarization monitoring. But he also inherited institutional resistance. Navy engineers dismissed Magnus's theories as field modifications beyond practical implementation. Communications officers refusing to acknowledge electromagnetic detection limitations that might require admitting preventable losses. Regulatory framework prioritizing standardized equipment over tactical effectiveness. Thad joined the Navy specifically to access equipment needed for testing electromagnetic theories. Radio school at Great Lakes Naval Training Station. Top marks in electronic theory, troubleshooting, frequency analysis. Instructors noted unusual approach to antenna configuration, tendency to modify standard circuits for improved performance. Assignment to destroyer escort duty, North Atlantic convoy operations. Access to communications equipment capable of proving his father's electromagnetic research. The first modification came during convoy run on 16 February 4, 1943. 51 merchant ships carrying steel and grain, standard horizontal antenna detecting submarine transmissions too late to prevent attack. SS William Clark taking 2 torpedoes to the engine room, breaking apart in 4 minutes. 47 crew lost. Thad hearing distress calls, rescue operations arriving after men died in frigid water. That night, he began building a vertical antenna array using salvaged components, vacuum tube amplifiers from damaged equipment, crystal oscillators from radio repair stores, matching networks calculated from Magnus's research notes, installation during midnight watch when the communications room is empty, modifications concealed within standard equipment housing. First test results proved electromagnetic theory. Vertical antenna detecting German weather transmissions missed by horizontal configuration. Brief coordination signals indicating submarine position reports. Proof that ocean conditions created signal inversions invisible to standard Navy equipment. Range improvement measurable through signal strength analysis. But proving technical concepts meant challenging institutional doctrine. Unauthorized equipment modifications violated Navy regulations. Revealing electromagnetic detection improvements might expose classified failures leading to preventable deaths. Personal innovation threatening careers built on covering up technical inadequacies. Lieutenant Commander Fletcher discovered unauthorized modifications during equipment inspection February 8th. Heated confrontation in the communications room. Fletcher demanded immediate removal of non-standard antenna configuration. Thad explaining electromagnetic theory, detection improvements, potential for preventing submarine attacks through early warning. Fletcher's response revealed deeper conflict. Your father died chasing ghost theories. Ghost frequencies that exist only in obsessed minds, unwilling to accept that war involves unavoidable losses. But his voice carried guilt. Knowledge of classified reports. Understanding that Magnus Blackwood had died, proving electromagnetic concepts the Navy refused to implement. The ultimatum came February 10th. Dismantle all unauthorized modifications or face court-martial for equipment sabotage. Choose military discipline over dangerous experimentation with communication systems essential for convoy survival. Accept standard doctrine or risk career destruction pursuing theories that threaten institutional credibility. Thad complied officially. Removed vertical antenna during daylight inspection, filed equipment reports showing standard horizontal configuration, but maintained unauthorized modifications through concealed installation during off-duty hours. Technical necessity overriding regulatory compliance when lives depended on electromagnetic detection improvements. Meanwhile, convoy losses continued. SS Margaret Hayes ammunition ship destroyed February 11th. Catastrophic explosion vaporizing 83 crew instantaneously. Blast wave cracking windows on USS Caldwell 800 yards away. German U-boat coordination signals preceding attack by 15 minutes. Invisible to standard detection equipment but potentially interceptable through dual polarization monitoring. SS Robert Chen troop transport hit February 13th. 400 soldiers heading to Iceland garrison duty. Single torpedo to bow section. The ship remained afloat long enough to abandon ship procedures, but North Atlantic water temperature killed men through hypothermia before rescue arrival. 127 soldiers, 31 crew lost. THAAD helping pull bodies from lifeboats, hands frozen to life preservers, faces blue from cold exposure. Personal connection making losses unbearable. Eddie Morrison, Robert Chen radio operator, trained alongside THAAD at Great Lakes, shared cigarettes between convoy runs, discussed returning to normal life after war. Morrison died in water 20 minutes before USS Caldwell reached his lifeboat. THAAD lifted his friend's body aboard, understanding that electromagnetic detection failure had killed another good man. The pattern became clear. German wolfpacks coordinate attacks through brief radio transmissions during the approach phase. Standard Allied detection missing coordination signals polarized vertically by submarine antenna tilting. Convoy escorts reacting after torpedo attacks rather than intercepting submarines during formation phase. Defensive doctrine failed because electromagnetic intelligence remained invisible to horizontal antenna arrays. Fletcher knew the truth, had witnessed Magnus Blackwood's final transmission attempt, understood that coordinate intelligence existed but remained undetected due to equipment limitations, carried classified after-action reports documenting electromagnetic detection failures, but chose institutional loyalty over revealing technical inadequacies that might damage Navy credibility. 3 weeks after SS Robert Chen lost, Fletcher summoned THAAD to the communications office. Private conversation away from crew quarters. Fletcher's demeanor is different, guilt replacing anger. Understanding replacing regulatory rigidity. Your father was my instructor at Portsmouth Communications School, 1938, taught electromagnetic theory that textbooks never covered, ocean propagation effects, atmospheric interference, signal behavior during storm conditions. Fletcher's voice is quiet, controlled. Magnus understood radio frequencies better than any officer I served under. The admission carried weight. Fletcher reveals personal connection to Magnus Blackwood. Training relationship extending beyond professional instruction into genuine mentorship. Technical knowledge inherited through direct teaching rather than textbook study. I was present during his final transmission October 31st, heard coordinate intelligence that could have prevented a torpedo attack. Standard equipment failed to detect submarine coordination signals he was reporting. Fletcher met THAAD's eyes. Your father died trying to save the convoy he was sworn to protect. Truth emerges slowly. Fletcher explains classified aspects of USS Reuben James destruction. Electromagnetic detection failure documented in after-action reports. Navy brass ordered silence to maintain institutional confidence. Official blame was attributed to superior German stealth technology rather than Allied technical inadequacies. I received promotion to communications officer as reward for maintaining classified security, career advancement through loyalty rather than competence. Fletcher's confession carries a bitter edge. 89 deaths covered up to protect institutional reputation. The moral calculation Fletcher faced 16 months later. Honor Magnus Blackwood's memory through supporting his son's electromagnetic research or maintain institutional loyalty that had advanced his career through concealing preventable tragedy. Personal guilt versus professional survival. Your modifications violate regulations. Unauthorized equipment changes could result in court-martial for both of us. Fletcher's statement acknowledging shared risk, but standard detection doctrine will fail against Klaus Richter's Wolfpack. Same electromagnetic conditions, same tactical situation, same equipment limitations that killed your father. Convoy SC-122 approaching waters where USS Reuben James had been destroyed. Identical electromagnetic interference created by North Atlantic storm patterns. Klaus Richter commanded a Wolfpack using surface coordination tactics that exploited horizontal antenna blind spots. Historical parallel, threatening repetition of preventable massacre. Fletcher's decision revealed gradual conversion from institutional loyalty toward personal responsibility. I cannot officially authorize electromagnetic modifications that violate Navy regulations, but I can ensure the communications room remains unmonitored during certain watch periods when equipment testing might occur without official knowledge. Permission granted through deliberate oversight, Fletcher provides cover for unauthorized antenna installation while maintaining plausible deniability. Career protection through ignorance of technical violations he privately supported. THAAD understanding the complexity of Fletcher's position. Officer trapped between regulatory compliance and tactical necessity. Personal guilt over Magnus Blackwood's death driving reluctant cooperation with unauthorized electromagnetic research. Institutional pressure, demanding silence about detection failures that killed 89 sailors. The alliance forming between unlikely partners. Son seeking to honor father's electromagnetic legacy. Officer attempting redemption for career built on concealing preventable tragedy. Shared recognition that standard doctrine would fail again unless technical improvements remained hidden from institutional oversight. But time was running short. Klaus Richter's Wolfpack approaching convoy intercept position. German coordination signals are increasing in frequency and strength. Electromagnetic conditions deteriorated as the storm intensified. Standard detection equipment became increasingly ineffective as submarine antenna tilting created signal inversions invisible to horizontal antenna arrays. Meanwhile, Seaman First Class Holden Watts provided essential support for unauthorized modifications. 20-year-old farm kid from Iowa, orphaned during Dust Bowl when economic disaster destroyed family agriculture operation. Parents dying in poverty, leaving Holden understanding of systems, failing people who depended on them most. Personal experience with institutional neglect creating sympathy for technical innovation outside official channels. Holden was assigned to communications detail, working alongside Thad during equipment maintenance and signal monitoring. Quick learner with natural electronics aptitude. Understanding electromagnetic theory through practical application rather than formal education. Hands-on experience with radio circuits, antenna systems, frequency analysis equipment. More importantly, Holden provided emotional support for dangerous technical work. Shared experience of loss, creating personal bonds between orphans attempting to fix broken equipment in a broken world. Technical modifications becoming tribute to dead fathers whose knowledge might prevent future tragedies. My dad used to say that government experts knew everything except what actually worked on real farms during real droughts. Holden's perspective, bridging agricultural and maritime experience. Sometimes the only way to save what matters is ignoring people who never got their hands dirty. Together, they expanded the unauthorized antenna array. Additional vertical elements hidden within standard equipment housing. Signal processing circuits built from vacuum tube components salvaged during equipment repairs. Matching networks calculated from Magnus Blackwood's research notes, implemented through improvised construction techniques that violated every Navy engineering standard. The work continued during midnight watch periods. Communications room empty except for essential monitoring personnel. Thad and Holden installed antenna elements, testing circuit modifications, calibrating frequency response characteristics. Technical improvements concealed from daylight inspection through careful integration with standard equipment configuration. First breakthrough came March 12th. Vertical antenna array detecting faint German transmission indicating submarine weather report. Brief signal polarized at angle missed by horizontal configuration. Proof that dual polarization monitoring captured electromagnetic intelligence invisible to standard Navy equipment. Signal analysis revealing more than weather data. Coordinate references. Position reports. Brief tactical communications between submarines maintaining loose formation while approaching convoy intercept position. Intelligence indicating Wolfpack coordination through radio transmissions, dismissed as impossible by Allied command structure. But detecting German communications created a new challenge. Report electromagnetic intelligence gathered through unauthorized equipment, exposing violations that could result in court-martial? Or maintain silence while submarines approached undetected by standard defensive measures? Thad's answer came through understanding his father's final transmission. Magnus had chosen reporting coordinate intelligence over regulatory compliance, died attempting to warn convoy about submarine attack positions, personal sacrifice for tactical information that might save lives. The son's choice became clear. Honor Magnus Blackwood's electromagnetic legacy through completing research the Navy had refused to implement. Use technical knowledge inherited through tragedy to prevent repetition of preventable losses. Accept personal risk for innovation that might transform convoy defense from reactive survival into proactive protection. March 13th, 2:15 a.m. German transmission detected bearing 270, range approximately 11 miles. Brief coordination signal indicating submarine position report. Vertical antenna capturing signal strength sufficient for accurate direction finding. Intelligence invisible to standard horizontal configuration. Thad reporting contact to the bridge watch officer. Initial skepticism about unauthorized detection capability. Equipment modification violations creating credibility problems for tactical intelligence gathered through non-standard methods. But signal characteristics are consistent with German naval communications, bearing information potentially accurate despite irregular sources. USS Caldwell, altering course toward contact bearing, increased speed to 24 knots, standard sonar detecting no submarine contacts, German transmission ending before triangulation possible through conventional direction-finding equipment, contact lost through normal detection methods. But Thad's vertical antenna continued monitoring the electromagnetic spectrum. Additional brief transmissions detected at irregular intervals. Multiple submarine position reports indicating coordinated Wolfpack formation. Intelligence patterns suggesting surface coordination tactics identical to USS Reuben James attack 16 months earlier. The trap was forming. Klaus Richter positioning submarines for coordinated attack during convoy maximum vulnerability. Surface coordination through brief radio transmissions invisible to Allied detection. Standard defensive doctrine remained reactive until torpedo attacks began. Historical repetition of electromagnetic detection failure that had killed Magnus Blackwood and 89 USS Reuben James crew. Unless unauthorized antenna modifications provided early warning intelligence that could transform defensive operations into preemptive action. Technical innovation inherited from dead father became a tactical advantage against the same German commander who had killed him. But using electromagnetic intelligence meant exposing unauthorized modifications to command scrutiny. Fletcher's career protection through plausible deniability would end. Thad's violations would become undeniable. Court-martial proceedings might follow, even if tactical success proved electromagnetic theory. The calculation had become personal. Honor military regulations that protected careers while convoys burned, or violate institutional doctrine to implement technical improvements that might save lives? Accept preventable losses to maintain systemic credibility, or risk everything for innovation that could vindicate Magnus Blackwood's electromagnetic research? Thad's hands steady as he monitored unauthorized frequency sweeps. His father's death drove every modification. Klaus Richter's approaching Wolfpack creates an opportunity for electromagnetic vengeance disguised as technical necessity. Standard detection doctrine about to fail again, unless the hidden antenna array provided intelligence that officially did not exist. The ghost frequencies were calling. Magnus Blackwood's final coordinates embedded in electromagnetic static, waiting for Sun's modified equipment to decode intelligence that might prevent repetition of USS Reuben James tragedy. Innovation born from grief, technical advancement through personal loss, electromagnetic theory proved through desperate necessity. But first, the hidden truth about institutional cover-up had to surface. Fletcher's classified knowledge about preventable electromagnetic detection failures. Navy brass protecting reputation through concealing technical inadequacies. Career advancement rewarding silence about 89 preventable deaths. The conversations that would determine convoy survival were about to begin. Technical innovation, challenging regulatory doctrine, personal responsibility confronting institutional loyalty, electromagnetic detection improvements threatened to expose classified failures that had killed good men whose deaths might finally gain meaning through tactical success. Time was running out. German Wolfpack coordinating attack positions. Storm conditions create electromagnetic interference that would blind standard detection equipment. Klaus Richter approached through waters where Magnus Blackwood had died, trying to warn convoy about submarine coordinates never received by horizontal antenna arrays designed by engineers who had never faced death in North Atlantic darkness. The breakthrough came at 3:47 a.m., March 14th, when Thad's modified frequency analyzer locked onto electromagnetic signatures buried 16 months deep in atmospheric static. Not German coordination signals from approaching Wolfpacks, but ghostly remnants of Magnus Blackwood's final transmission, polarized vertically through North Atlantic storm conditions that had twisted his father's dying words into frequencies no horizontal antenna could decode. Thad's hands trembling as he fine-tuned reception parameters. The vertical antenna array captured signal inversions that standard equipment had missed during USS Reuben James destruction. Brief coordinate intelligence embedded in electromagnetic interference, waiting for technical innovation to resurrect tactical information that might have prevented 89 deaths. Contact bearing 270, range 12 miles, multiple submarines coordinating attack positions. Magnus Blackwood's voice emerging from static like resurrection through radio waves. Coordinate data indicating 3 Wolfpack positions ahead of the convoy route. Intelligence transmitted seconds before Klaus Richter's torpedo struck amidships, cutting transmission before tactical information reached escort commanders. The pattern became clear. Magnus had identified submarine positioning identical to the current threat against convoy SC-122. Same electromagnetic conditions, same tactical setup, same German commander using surface coordination tactics that exploited horizontal antenna blind spots. Historical parallel, threatening exact repetition unless hidden intelligence finally received proper analysis. Thad cross-referencing decoded coordinates with current German transmission bearings. Perfect tactical correlation. Klaus Richter positioned submarines in a triangular attack formation identical to USS Reuben James ambush. Wolfpack coordination through brief radio signals polarized vertically by ocean swells, invisible to Allied detection equipment designed by engineers who had never faced electromagnetic death in North Atlantic darkness. His father's final intelligence revealed enemy tactical doctrine 16 months before current implementation. Magnus Blackwood died while transmitting coordinate data that could save convoy SC-122 if anyone understood electromagnetic theory sophisticated enough to decode vertically polarized signals. Technical knowledge inherited through tragedy, proving electromagnetic concepts the Navy had dismissed as impractical field modifications. But using decoded intelligence meant exposing unauthorized modifications to command scrutiny. Fletcher's career protection through plausible deniability ending, classified cover-up about USS Reuben James detection failures becoming undeniable. Court-martial proceedings following, even if tactical success vindicated electromagnetic innovation. Holden Watts monitored standard radio circuits while Thad worked with unauthorized equipment. Farm kid understanding institutional resistance to innovation that challenged established doctrine. My grandfather tried telling agricultural agents about soil conservation techniques that could prevent dust storms. Government experts said traditional farming methods were scientifically proven. Dust Bowl happened anyway. Personal experience with systemic failure, creating sympathy for technical advancement outside official channels. Holden provides emotional support for dangerous work that might prevent repetition of preventable tragedy. Two orphans honoring dead fathers through unauthorized modifications that violated every regulation protecting institutional credibility over tactical effectiveness. 3:58 a.m. German transmission detected bearing 315, range approximately 10 miles. Brief coordination signal indicating submarine position adjustment. Klaus Richter's Wolfpack fine-tuning attack formation while Convoy SC-122 approached the maximum vulnerability zone. Standard horizontal antenna detecting nothing, blind to electromagnetic intelligence that could transform defensive operations into preemptive action. Have you ever discovered that everything you were taught was wrong? Tell us in the comments what you would do with dangerous knowledge. Time for decisive action. Thad leaving the communications room, moving through USS Caldwell corridors toward Fletcher's quarters, ship rolling heavily in North Atlantic storm. Ice forming on bulkheads despite heating systems struggling against maritime cold. Emergency lighting casting red shadows across steel passages filled with sleeping sailors, unaware that convoy survival depended on unauthorized electromagnetic innovation. Fletcher's door unlocked. Communications officer sitting at small desk, reviewing classified reports by dim lamplight. Sleep was impossible when the convoy approached waters where institutional failure had killed mentors and 89 crew members. Guilt prevented rest, while the same electromagnetic conditions threatened repetition of preventable massacre. I decoded my father's final transmission. Thad's statement cutting through cabin silence. Fletcher looked up, understanding immediately. Coordinate intelligence indicating 3 submarine positions. Klaus Richter's Wolfpack formation 16 months ago, identical setup to current threat. Fletcher's expression shifted from surprise to comprehension to fear. Decoded intelligence proving preventable nature of USS Reuben James destruction. Technical evidence that electromagnetic detection improvements could have saved lives if institutional pride had not prevented implementation of field modifications beyond regulatory approval. Official after-action reports attributed the torpedo attack to superior German stealth technology. Classified analysis documented electromagnetic equipment failure but recommended silence to maintain institutional confidence. Fletcher's confession emerged slowly. Navy brass threatened court-martial if detection limitations became public knowledge. The truth surfacing through personal crises. Fletcher explains career advancement through concealing technical inadequacies. Promotion to communications officer rewarding loyalty over competence. Professional success built on covering up preventable deaths that might damage institutional reputation. Your father died proving electromagnetic theory that could revolutionize submarine detection. Vertical antenna arrays capturing signal inversions invisible to standard equipment. Detection range improvements enabling proactive rather than reactive convoy defense. Fletcher met Thad's eyes. I chose career protection over honoring his memory. Moral reckoning 16 months delayed. Officer confronting personal responsibility for institutional cover-up, understanding that the current convoy faced identical electromagnetic conditions with the same flawed detection doctrine. Choice between repeating silence that had killed Magnus Blackwood or risking everything to implement technical improvements that might prevent tragedy. Klaus Richter's Wolfpack coordinating attack positions through surface radio transmissions. Brief signals polarized vertically by submarine antenna tilting during heavy seas. Standard horizontal arrays are missing 40% of coordination intelligence. Thad presenting electromagnetic analysis. We can detect their tactical communications before torpedo attacks begin. Fletcher understanding implications. Early warning through unauthorized equipment modifications. Intelligence capability that could transform convoy escort operations from defensive survival into offensive protection. Technical advantage hidden from institutional oversight through concealing regulatory violations. But using electromagnetic intelligence meant exposing unauthorized modifications to command review. Fletcher's plausible deniability ending. Career consequences follow regardless of tactical success. Personal sacrifice required for honoring a mentor's electromagnetic legacy. I cannot officially authorize equipment modifications that violate Navy regulations. Fletcher's statement acknowledging institutional constraints. But convoy survival matters more than career protection. Your father's theories deserve implementation, even if recognition remains impossible. Permission granted through accepting personal consequences. Fletcher chose technical advancement over regulatory compliance. Redemption attempt for a career built on concealing preventable tragedy. Institutional loyalty abandoned for tactical necessity when lives depended on electromagnetic innovation. 4:15 a.m., bridge conference requested. Fletcher presented electromagnetic intelligence to Captain Winston Morrison without revealing unauthorized modification details. German submarine positions detected through enhanced direction, finding capability. Coordinate data indicating Wolfpack formation approaching convoy intercept position. Morrison studying tactical display, understanding implications. Same waters where USS Reuben James had been destroyed. Identical electromagnetic conditions creating detection challenges for standard equipment. Personal connection through commanding destroyer escort during original tragedy. Witnessing electromagnetic detection failure that killed 89 sailors. Intelligence source classification, Morrison's question probing technical details. Fletcher's response carefully worded to maintain plausible deniability while acknowledging enhanced detection capability. Modified direction finding procedures based on atmospheric propagation analysis. Truthful statement concealing unauthorized equipment modifications. Technical improvements disguised as procedural enhancement. Morrison understood that detection capability exceeded standard equipment specifications without requiring detailed explanation of regulatory violations. German Wolfpack tactical pattern consistent with USS Reuben James attack formation. Surface coordination through brief radio transmissions during approach phase. Morrison's analysis connects historical parallelism with current threats. Standard defensive doctrine failed 16 months ago. Reactive escort protection is inadequate against coordinated submarine tactics. Command decision emerging through tactical necessity. Morrison authorizing preemptive operations based on electromagnetic intelligence gathered through unauthorized methods. Career risk accepted for convoy protection when standard doctrine threatened repetition of preventable massacre. USS Caldwell and escort destroyers advancing ahead of convoy formation. Hunter-killer operations targeting submarine positions before attack coordination is completed. Morrison's orders implementing tactical inversion. Convoy escorts hunting submarines rather than waiting for torpedo attacks. Strategic shift from defensive to offensive operations. Early warning through electromagnetic intelligence enables proactive protection rather than reactive survival. Technical innovation, changing tactical doctrine through proving detection capabilities beyond standard equipment limitations. 4:28 a.m., USS Caldwell increasing speed to flank. 28 knots through heavy seas toward German submarine positions, identified through unauthorized antenna modifications. Escort destroyers, USS Madison and HMS Icarus following attack formation. Standard sonar detecting no contacts, blind to surface submarines maintaining radio silence except for brief coordination transmissions. But THAAD's vertical antenna array tracks electromagnetic signatures, invisible to horizontal detection equipment. Multiple submarine position reports indicating Wolfpack formation. Klaus Richter's U-507 command position identified through transmission characteristics analyzed during USS Reuben James attack. Personal vendetta disguised as tactical necessity when electromagnetic innovation enabled hunting father's killer. 4:42 a.m., first contact. German coordination signal bearing 310, range 8 miles. U-203 transmitting position report to Wolfpack command. Standard equipment detected nothing while vertical antenna captured signal inversion created by submarine antenna tilting during surface operations. Contact confirmed. Submarines bearing 310, range 8 miles, transmitting coordination signals to pack formation. THAAD's report enables precise targeting for depth charge attack. Electromagnetic intelligence provides tactical accuracy, impossible through standard detection methods. USS Caldwell altering course toward contact bearing. Sonar detecting submerged contact at 4,000 yards. German submarine diving after detecting destroyer propeller sounds. Too late to escape. Depth charge pattern dropped at optimal position based on electromagnetic tracking data. Ocean erupting in massive geysers. 8 canisters detonating at 150-foot depth. Shockwaves traveling through water, crushing submarine hulls under pressure differential. Debris surfaced 30 seconds later. Wood fragments, oil slick, pieces of rubber equipment. Confirmed kill through electromagnetic detection, enabling precise attack coordination. First submarine destroyed. Morrison's announcement reaching convoy command. Enhanced detection capability proving tactical effectiveness against German Wolfpack formation. But Klaus Richter adapted quickly to unexpected Allied detection capability. German coordination signals changing frequency and duration. Brief transmissions becoming even shorter, harder to triangulate through conventional direction finding. Wolfpack adjusting tactics in response to electromagnetic surveillance they could not understand. 4:57 a.m., second contact detected bearing 285, range 9 miles. U-91 attempting evasive maneuvers after detecting escort approach. The German submarine caught between dive and surface operations, vulnerable to attack during the transition phase. HMS Icarus engaging contact with surface gunfire. 4-inch naval artillery targeting submarine conning tower visible during emergency dive procedure. 3 direct hits before U-91 submerged completely. Depth charge attack following immediately. Pattern perfectly placed based on electromagnetic tracking intelligence. Underwater explosion sending shockwaves through escort ships. Confirmed destruction through debris pattern and oil discharge. Second submarine eliminated through electromagnetic detection, enabling tactical surprise during the vulnerability window. Klaus Richter's response was immediate and desperate. Emergency Wolfpack scatter order transmitted on multiple frequencies. German coordination breaking down under unexpected Allied detection capability. Submarine commanders were confused by tactical situations they had not anticipated. Wolfpack formation disintegrating. THAAD monitoring electromagnetic spectrum as the German transmission pattern collapsed. Coordination signals indicating retreat orders, damage reports, requests for tactical guidance from submarines unable to understand Allied detection capability. Strategic advantage shifting dramatically. German Wolfpack tactics depending on stealth and surprise, attacking before escorts could respond effectively. When Allied detection enabled preemptive operations, submarine commanders lost primary tactical advantage. Hunters became hunted through electromagnetic innovation, but personal confrontation remained incomplete. Klaus Richter's U-507 maintaining radio silence, avoiding electromagnetic detection through discipline and experience. Same submarine commander who had killed Magnus Blackwood, now using identical tactics that might enable escape from technological vengeance. 5:13 a.m. Breakthrough signal detection. Klaus Richter transmitting tactical recall order to remaining Wolfpack submarines. Long-duration transmission provides excellent triangulation opportunities through electromagnetic direction finding. U-507 position fixed at bearing 295, range 11 miles. Primary target identified. Klaus Richter's command submarine bearing 295, range 11 miles. THAAD's report enables direct pursuit of father's killer. Personal vendetta finally achievable through electromagnetic detection capability that had taken 16 months to develop. USS Caldwell altering course toward U-507 position. Maximum speed through heavy seas, destroyer straining against North Atlantic storm conditions. Chase sequence beginning with technological advantage against tactical experience. Electromagnetic detection versus submarine stealth in waters where Magnus Blackwood had died attempting to warn Convoy about coordinate intelligence never received. 5:28 a.m. Direct contact with Klaus Richter's U-507. A German submarine caught surface during transmission, unable to dive quickly enough to avoid detection. Electromagnetic tracking enables continuous monitoring despite evasive maneuvers. Technical superiority overcoming tactical expertise when unauthorized antenna modifications provided intelligence invisible to standard equipment. Target acquired. Klaus Richter's U-507 bearing 292, range 6,000 yards, attempting crash dive to escape engagement. Morrison's tactical announcement as U.S. Caldwell closed for attack. Personal confrontation disguised as convoy protection when electromagnetic vengeance became possible through technical innovation. Surface gun engagement beginning. 5-inch naval artillery targeting submarine conning tower before complete submergence. Rounds splashing close to target as U-57 disappeared beneath waves. Too late for destruction through surface fire, but early enough to maintain sonar contact during dive sequence. Depth charge attack coordinated through electromagnetic tracking data. THAAD provided continuous bearing information as German submarines attempted evasive maneuvers. Technical knowledge inherited from Magnus Blackwood enabling precise targeting of father's killer through detection capability developed specifically for this confrontation. Full pattern depth charges deployed. 12 canisters set for varying detonation depths. Ocean convulsing under explosive pressure. U-507 hull cracking under shockwave impact but maintaining structural integrity. Klaus Richter's submarine damaged but operational. Crew skills enabling survival despite technological disadvantage. Emergency surface. U-507 forced to surface for damage assessment and repair attempts. German submarine exposed on storm-tossed ocean, vulnerable to gunfire while emergency repairs proceeded. Klaus Richter chose surface risk over underwater flooding that might sink submarines permanently. Target surfaced. Klaus Richter attempting damage control. Morrison's announcement as USS Caldwell approached for final engagement. German submarine crew visible on deck, working frantically to repair torpedo damage while the destroyer closed range for decisive action. Direct confrontation between electromagnetic innovation and submarine experience. THAAD tracked Klaus Richter through technical advancement inherited from father's death. German commander facing technological superiority he could not understand or counter. Personal vendetta. Achieving resolution through tactical success enabled by unauthorized modifications. 5:41 a.m. Klaus Richter's surrender. German submarine unable to dive, gun damage preventing effective defense. U-507 crew abandoning ship as U.S. Caldwell approached for capture operations. Electromagnetic detection enables tactical victory that standard equipment could never have achieved. Magnus Blackwood's killer was captured through technical innovation his death had inspired. Electromagnetic theory proved through tactical implementation that saved convoys while achieving personal justice. Father's final coordinates decoded through son's unauthorized modifications, completing intelligence transmission cut short by a torpedo impact 16 months earlier. If you're still here, you understand why buried truths matter more than career safety. Leave a radio wave emoji if you believe some secrets are worth the risk to reveal. Convoy SC-122 reached British waters without losing a single merchant ship. 0 casualties versus predicted 15% loss rate during Wolfpack attack. Electromagnetic detection proved tactical superiority through early warning that enabled offensive operations rather than reactive defense. Strategic shift in Battle of Atlantic achieved through individual innovation, challenging institutional doctrine. But institutional consequences followed immediately. Fletcher's career was destroyed through supporting unauthorized modifications. Court-martial proceedings begin despite tactical success, proving electromagnetic theory. Personal sacrifice for technical advancement that saved lives while exposing regulatory violations. Morrison testified on Fletcher's behalf during a military tribunal. Communications officers supported tactical innovation that prevented convoy massacres. Electromagnetic detection capability exceeded standard equipment specifications through enhanced procedural implementation. Defense carefully worded to minimize regulatory violations while acknowledging tactical necessity. Navy response predictable. Political damage control, prioritizing institutional credibility over individual recognition. Electromagnetic improvements classified, credited to the Engineering Analysis Committee rather than field modifications, developed through personal initiative. Official narrative protecting institutional reputation while concealing unauthorized innovation. THAAD's modifications disappeared into classified technical development. Dual polarization antenna arrays, installed on convoy escorts without acknowledging individual creativity threatening official procurement procedures. Innovation buried under institutional secrecy that protected careers built on denying technical advancement beyond regulatory approval. Fletcher reassigned to shore duty, communications career effectively ended. Personal sacrifice for honoring Magnus Blackwood's electromagnetic legacy. Redemption achieved through accepting consequences for a career built on concealing preventable tragedy. Technical advancement required individual courage when institutional loyalty demanded silence. Holden Watts transferred to a different destroyer, separated from the technical team due to security concerns about unauthorized modifications. Personal friendship sacrificed for institutional damage control. Innovation creates casualties among supporters willing to challenge regulatory doctrine for tactical advancement. Post-war analysis revealing the true impact of electromagnetic innovation. Maritime historian discovering classified files documenting detection capability improvements during Atlantic convoy operations. Statistical evidence showing dramatic reduction in submarine attack success following implementation of dual polarization antenna systems. Conservative estimates indicate 400 merchant ships saved through electromagnetic detection improvements. 20,000 lives preserved by technical advancement inherited from Magnus Blackwood's research, developed through unauthorized modifications, implemented through personal courage, challenging institutional doctrine. But official recognition never materialized. Technical innovation attributed to engineering committee analysis rather than individual creativity. Personal sacrifice concealed under classified secrecy, protecting institutional narrative about procurement procedures and regulatory compliance. THAAD returned to main lighthouse service after the war. Civilian application of electromagnetic knowledge through coastal navigation safety improvements. Radio wave analysis helped fishing vessels avoid storm conditions that created communication interference. Technical expertise applied quietly without seeking recognition or advancement. Annual ritual visiting USS Reuben James Memorial, honoring 89 lost crew members including Magnus Blackwood. Silent tribute to electromagnetic research that had finally achieved tactical implementation through son's dangerous innovation. Personal closure through technical vindication that saved lives while achieving justice. Never discussing wartime electromagnetic modifications publicly. Security classification maintaining official silence about individual contributions to Allied victory. Personal satisfaction through understanding that father's theories had saved thousands of lives through tactical application the Navy had initially dismissed as impractical field modification. 1967. Naval historian researching electromagnetic warfare developments finding classified documentation about detection capability improvements during Atlantic operations. Dr. Patricia Williams traced technical advancement to unauthorized modifications developed aboard USS Caldwell during convoy escort operations. Interview attempt with Thaddeus Blackwood, reluctant discussion of classified electromagnetic work. Father's theories saved lives, that was always the point. Minimal cooperation with historical research that might expose individual contributions to strategic technical advancement. Final assessment revealing true scope of electromagnetic innovation impact. Magnus and Thad Blackwood's combined contribution to Allied victory through detection capability development. Father's research providing theoretical foundation, son's implementation proving tactical effectiveness through unauthorized field modifications. Modern naval warfare incorporates electromagnetic detection as standard capability across all maritime forces. Dual polarization antenna systems installed on ships worldwide. Technical evolution stemming from Maine lighthouse keepers' coastal radio research, developed through personal tragedy, implemented through individual courage, challenging institutional resistance. Educational impact extending through naval academies teaching Blackwood electromagnetic principles. Theoretical foundation attributed to engineering committee analysis rather than personal innovation that had required violating regulations for tactical necessity. Official curriculum concealing individual creativity under institutional narrative about technical development procedures. Hidden legacy continuing through family tradition. Thad's grandson operating modern electromagnetic navigation equipment at Pemaquid Point Lighthouse. 3 generations of Blackwood family applying technical expertise to maritime safety. Innovation inheritance passes through personal dedication rather than institutional recognition. Maine coastal waters, where Magnus Blackwood had first studied electromagnetic wave propagation through storm conditions. Research location became full circle as family tradition continued technical advancement through understanding radio frequencies in harsh maritime environments. Personal knowledge applied for coastal safety through civilian rather than military application. Historical perspective revealing that most powerful military innovations emerge from individuals refusing to accept that tragedy was inevitable. Magnus Blackwood died while proving electromagnetic theory the Navy ignored. Thaddeus completed theoretical proof, saving thousands of lives, demonstrating that the greatest tribute to the dead is ensuring they died for knowledge that saves the living. Technical advancement through personal loss transformed into strategic purpose. Grief becomes innovation, when individual courage challenges institutional doctrine preventing tactical improvement. Electromagnetic theory developed through lighthouse keeping expertise, proved through unauthorized military modification, applied through tactical necessity when regulations threatened convoy survival. Ultimate recognition emerging decades after tactical implementation. Historical research revealing individual contributions concealed under classified documentation. Personal sacrifice finally acknowledged through understanding that electromagnetic detection capabilities stemmed from father-son innovation team rather than institutional engineering committee analysis, like this video. If you believe innovation comes from grief transformed into purpose, subscribe for more stories where personal loss becomes strategic victory, and remember, sometimes the dead speak through radio frequencies, if you know how to listen. The most powerful military innovations emerge not from institutional research, but from individuals who refused to accept that tragedy was inevitable. Magnus Blackwood died proving electromagnetic theory the Navy ignored. His son Thaddeus completed that proof, saved thousands of lives, and demonstrated that sometimes the greatest tribute to the dead is ensuring they died for knowledge that saves the living. Electromagnetic waves continue propagating through North Atlantic waters where convoys once faced wolfpack attacks. Radio frequencies carrying merchant vessel communications, navigation data, emergency signals. Technical systems incorporating detection capabilities that emerged from personal tragedy transformed through unauthorized innovation into strategic advancement. Hidden beneath official procurement procedures and regulatory documentation, individual creativity challenges institutional doctrine when tactical necessity requires technical improvement beyond committee approval. Innovation emerging from lighthouse keeping expertise, developed through personal loss, implemented through courage that accepts career sacrifice for convoy survival. The dead frequencies still call across ocean waters where electromagnetic theory was first proved through tactical application. Magnus Blackwood's final coordinates were decoded through son's unauthorized modifications. Technical knowledge inherited through tragedy, applied through individual dedication, preserved through family tradition that continues maritime safety work along Maine coastal waters, where radio wave research began with lighthouse keepers who understood electromagnetic propagation better than Navy engineers who had never faced death in North Atlantic darkness. Sometimes the most important military advancement stems from thinking backwards about technical problems that institutional doctrine cannot solve. Electromagnetic detection through dual polarization, antenna arrays. Innovation disguised as procedural enhancement. Personal vendetta transformed into tactical advantage. Grief becomes a strategic purpose when individual courage proves that dead fathers can save living sailors through radio frequencies that standard equipment cannot decode.